I'm Liz. I live here with my husband and son, and we moved to this area because we wanted to live a more sustainable lifestyle. We've recently bought the house next door. We had the rare opportunity to buy a tiny house. We wanted to make it as not quite as energy efficient as possible, but we wanted to get it off fossil fuels. It's a house that we'll probably use for a vulnerable member of our family in the future, maybe rent out in the short term. So we want to get the running costs down and come off gas. I was most worried about the running costs, maybe moving off gas onto a heat pump. So that was our main question. What do we have to do in terms of insulation to make sure that the future bills were low? And we weren't sure we'd take out the gas boiler at this point, but we knew we wanted to. Anything we did to the house needed to bring down the heat demand, so that we had low running costs in future, whether that was gas or a heat pump. And in the first stage of the process, we got a plumber around to check the efficiency and safety of the current gas central heating. And the way he went, we knew that we might be moving to a heat pump sooner rather than later. When it came to insulation, what we were worried about is whether we would need to, I suppose, take the walls apart, whether we would have to add more insulation in. As it turned out, because we could add quite a lot of insulation into the loft, and because the walls were quite well sealed in terms of air leakage, meant we didn't need to do anything to the walls. So we didn't need to start taking the kitchen or the bathroom apart to reach the standard that we sort of needed for the heat pump to be affordable. The biggest challenge along the way was in getting heat pump quotes. At the moment, it seems they're very variable in their, firstly, the timing, how long it takes to get quotes in, and how long it takes to get through to installation. But also the content in the quotes really varies. So some would just give a figure they could install in 9 months and gave a really low price. And then more detailed quotes were coming through with a higher upfront cost. But we actually had more faith in those in terms of the timetable, that they came out and did surveys, and so we could trust that those quotes would sort of bear out in reality. We did the loft insulation ourselves, so went down to the DIY store and bought bundles of insulation. That was for the loft, and then for part of the floor where we'd taken the carpets out, there was, I think it was about 4 centimetres. So we put in a very thin layer of insulation. This was our builder put that in. I spec'd it, he did the actual work, and then I put cork flooring down on top of that. So insulated as much as we could in that small space. And then in the kitchen, it's flagstones, so we couldn't touch those. But by that point, I was getting a bit wary that there was no thermal mass in the house, and there's maybe the risk of overheating then if there's nothing left in the house to absorb heat. We think there's a bit of insulation under that floor because of the age of the building. It was converted in the mid-90s. So there's probably something under those flagstones, but we weren't going to lift them up. Really happy with the work we've had done and that we've set it up well for the future. And although when we started we weren't intending to go straight to the heat pump solution, it feels good to have got that done. In fact, it wasn't that much disruption, but we changed a lot of the radiators, partly because some of them we wanted to move anyway, some of them needed to be a bit bigger. And yeah, so it feels good. It's sort of set up in terms of decarbonisation, affordable to the heat.